Welcome back to my channel, Histransform. It's your boy, and in today's video, we're diving into the latest developments in China, particularly in microchip advancements and the ongoing competition between China and the US. As you know, Histransform is all about tech news, with a special focus on Huawei and other Chinese tech innovations. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so you can be the first to get all the updates. China's competitive edge in nuclear power is becoming impossible to ignore. Their advancements are not just significant, they're transformative, especially in nuclear energy, including both fission and fusion. China's strong position in the global supply chain, their Belt and Road Initiative, their influence in BRICS, and their manufacturing power all contribute to their dominance in these areas. If these trends continue, it's becoming clear that China is poised to lead this century unless there's a major shift. What they're achieving in nuclear power, particularly in fusion, is groundbreaking. If they perfect this technology, it could mark the beginning of a new era, potentially even a Chinese millennium. Nuclear fusion is often called the holy grail of energy for a reason. The fuel can be sourced from the ocean, it burns clean, and the only byproduct is helium, with no radioactive waste to worry about. So stick around as we explore how these developments might shape the future. There's no danger of a Chernobyl or Fukushima-type meltdown with fusion reactors. They can be placed anywhere, and they can generate virtually unlimited energy. For example, half kilogram of fusion fuel produces as much energy as 27,500 barrels of oil, or 5,000 tons of coal. And the fuel? It can even be seawater. Just a bucket from the beach could suffice. Currently, the world relies on fission for nuclear energy. Fission works by shooting a particle into a large atom like uranium, causing it to split apart and release energy, along with waste. On the other hand, fusion involves combining two particles, which also releases energy. The big difference is that fusion can sustain itself, producing more energy than what was initially put in. To explain, fission powers an atomic bomb, while fusion powers the sun. Recent breakthroughs in fusion by Chinese researchers aim to recreate the power of the sun on a large scale. This achievement was highlighted in a recent article on oilprice.com, a platform focused on global fossil fuels. China's success in nuclear fusion gives them a first-mover advantage. First-mover advantage is a significant concept in economics and industry. It refers to the benefits gained by being the first to successfully develop and apply a technology at scale. For example, Amazon was one of the first companies to dominate online retail, setting the standard for e-commerce and making it difficult for others to compete. These early movers often set industry standards and maintain their lead for many years. China's breakthrough in fusion could have a similar impact. Here's why this story matters. If China successfully harnesses fusion energy, the fossil fuel industry, oil, coal, and natural gas, could become obsolete. The entire economy built around fossil fuels would collapse. For instance, the value of Venezuela's oil reserves or Indonesia's coal reserves would plummet to zero. That's why this is big news for oilprice.com subscribers. Currently, Europe is working on a long-term project called the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, IT, but it's significantly over budget and delayed. Meanwhile, a Chinese company, Energy Singularity, based in Shanghai, has just become the first in the world to build and operate a Tokamak nuclear fusion reactor. China's approach to nuclear fusion differs from that of Europe and the United States. Instead of focusing on large reactors, China aims to build smaller reactors much more quickly. This approach mirrors what they've done with fission reactors, where they can now construct conventional nuclear reactors faster than anyone else. With fusion, China's Energy Singularity uses high-temperature superconducting materials, which allows them to reduce the size of their fusion reactors to just 1/50th of what they would otherwise be. As another example, consider Tesla's early lead in the electric vehicle market. By pioneering large-scale electric vehicle production and establishing a strong brand early on, Tesla set the standard in the industry. This first-mover advantage helped them dominate the market, making it difficult for other car manufacturers to catch up. Similarly, if China succeeds in fusion, they could set the global standard and leave other nations struggling to keep pace. There's no risk of a meltdown like Chernobyl or Fukushima with fusion reactors. They can be built almost anywhere, and the energy they produce is nearly limitless. For instance, 1 kilogram of fusion fuel can generate as much energy as 55,000 barrels of oil or 10,000 tons of coal. Plus, the fuel can even be seawater. Just a bucket from the beach will do. China is now a leader in this technology, building their reactors faster, within 3 or 4 years compared to the usual 30. It's crucial for their national strategy that most materials and technology come from within China. For their Tokamak reactor, 96% of the materials are sourced locally, and they hold the patents and intellectual property. In the US, a company in Massachusetts is working with MIT on a similar approach. They've also realized that smaller reactors might be better. Their spark reactor is still in the experimental phase, but it's designed to be about 1/65th the size of Europe's project. However, the US and China are taking different paths in developing these reactors. While MIT and Commonwealth Fusion Systems focus on heat energy pulses, Chinese researchers are developing fusion plasma. In mid-June, China's superconducting Tokamak device successfully generated the first plasma from a fusion reaction. This achievement has global experts agreeing that a new race has begun. Yasmin Andrew, a physicist from Imperial College London, notes that while there are several companies worldwide working on high-temperature superconducting technology, Shanghai's HH70 was the first to succeed. Their next goal is to achieve a self-sustaining reaction that generates 10 times more energy than it consumes by 2027. Andrew Holland, CEO of the Fusion Industry Association, points out that China has gained a first-mover advantage. He compares this to the solar industry, where much of the technology was developed abroad, but China mastered large-scale manufacturing. The key is whether it can be done in large volumes and at a lower cost. China is already integrating technology with application faster than anyone else. This first-mover advantage is also crucial in research. China is building out its university system to support nuclear research, training 1,000 new plasma scientists. This is reminiscent of how Silicon Valley boomed alongside Stanford University, attracting the best minds in electrical engineering to the Bay Area to work with cutting-edge companies. Now, if you're a physicist and want to work on fusion, you're likely heading to China if you're not already there. China has gone from having no nuclear industry to being a generation ahead. Their physicists are leading in research, with theoretical physics being applied in the same buildings. According to Yasmin Andrew, this recent breakthrough proves that their design works, and it could lead to stronger magnetic fields and smaller, cheaper, and faster reactors. China's Tokamak is much smaller and more efficient compared to Europe's ITER project, which involves 35 countries and is the world's largest fusion reactor, 50 times bigger than Shanghai's. The ITER project is complicated, costly, and difficult to cool, making it less viable for large-scale deployment. China has a deep talent pool for fusion power, with many top scientists having worked on the ITER project. Additionally, China's strong supply chain, large-scale manufacturing, and robust policy support give them a significant edge. Their top industry official has stated that the first electricity generated by fusion must come from China, with prototypes ready within 10 years and large-scale use by 2050. If China achieves widespread use of fusion power by 2050, and the US and Europe are not far behind, It could shape an interesting economic and diplomatic landscape. But if China remains 20 years ahead, the future will be much more predictable and largely controlled by China. Just as General Electric's power stations once marked the boundary between darkness and light, China has a deep talent pool for fusion power at scale will mean the sun is always shining. China plans to have hundreds of small Tokamak reactors within 25 years, underscoring the importance of this race and the challenge of catching up with them.